Hey everybody, if you're new here, my name is Hannah, and this is the fourth and much too long awaited episode of my New York City Guide series. In this series, I cover a different neighborhood each episode and tell you all of the best things to eat, see, and do here. And yes, it has been a while since I made one of these, but I promise not to disappoint because today we are on Roosevelt Island. I like to refer to Roosevelt Island as a somewhat hidden gem. Not totally, because I think most New Yorkers have heard about it and have visited, but I don't think it's necessarily on the radars of most tourists, and it really should be. Roosevelt Island is a small, narrow island situated between Manhattan and Queens, and it is technically a part of the borough of Manhattan. It's about 2 miles long with a maximum width of only 800 feet. People do in fact live here, but not many by New York City standards. As of the 2020 census, there were 11,722 people living on Roosevelt Island. According to Zumper.com, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is currently $3,675, a 36% increase since last year. You can get here by taking the F train to the only subway stop on Roosevelt Island. You can take the NYC ferry on the Astoria line, or if you've never done this before, I highly recommend getting here on the Roosevelt Island Tramway. The tram leaves from 59th Street and 2nd Avenue in Manhattan, and it costs $2.75 to ride, the same as the cost of a subway or ferry ride. It runs on a regular schedule every 7 to 15 minutes between the hours of 6 a.m. and 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 6 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. Friday and Saturday. The ride lasts between 4 and 5 minutes, and you get absolutely beautiful views of Manhattan, Queens, the East River, and the Queensboro Bridge, and it's just a really cool, unique experience. So once you get here, what is there to do? Well, I would say the main thing that you should visit Roosevelt Island for is just to walk around and take in the beauty. From here, you get absolutely incredible views of Manhattan's Upper East Side, the Queensboro Bridge, and Long Island City. And if you come during cherry blossom season in the spring, from late March to early May, you've really hit the jackpot. You guys, I'm embarrassed. I had this whole spiel ready about how beautiful the cherry blossoms are on Roosevelt Island, and if you come in peak season like today, they're just incredible, and that is all true. And normally, today, April 20th, late April, would be a great time to come and see some cherry blossoms, but they're just not looking at their most beautiful today. I mean, they're okay, you know, they're pink, they're pretty enough, but they're not prime cherry blossoms. However, if you do catch it at the right time, they are absolutely beautiful. Cherry blossom season runs from late March to early May, and you know, the exact times that they're going to be at their most beautiful vary a little bit every year. My guess is that it's still just a little too cold. Like, as you can see, I'm wearing a coat. It's like mid-50s out, and I guess this is just not thrive temperature for these cherry blossoms. This little baby blossom appears to be doing okay. I'm no expert on cherry blossoms by any means, but to my understanding, what makes Roosevelt Island such a special place to see them is that it is home to both Yoshino blossoms that bloom earlier in the season and Kwanzaa trees that bloom later in the season, giving you a wider range of time to be able to see them. It just appears that I have come right dead center in between the two. There are several great things for history buffs to check out on Roosevelt Island, one being the Blackwell House. In 1637, Dutch Governor Wouter van Twiller purchased the island from the Canarsie Indians. After the Dutch surrendered to the English, Captain John Manning acquired the island in 1666, and it became known as Manning's Island. 20 years later, his son-in-law Robert Blackwell became the island's new owner, and the island became known as Blackwell's Island. In 1796, Blackwell's great-grandson Jacob constructed the Blackwell House, which is the island's oldest landmark, New York County's 6th oldest house, and one of the city's few remaining examples of 18th century architecture. It's very cool and a little strange at the same time to see it sitting amongst all this modern architecture that just doesn't match at all, and I'm really glad it's been preserved because it's beautiful and it's a very cool, unique site. The Blackwell House is located right off Main Street, about midway up the island, and you can even visit and go inside and check out the first floor of the house between the hours of 11 and 5, Wednesday to Sunday. It's totally free. You can only stay for 30 minutes. You gotta wear your face mask, be respectful, use hand sanitizer, all of that, but you should definitely come do it. It's very cool. In 1828, the city of New York purchased the island from the Blackwells for $32,000, which, by the way, is the equivalent to about $790,000 today, and I really wish you could still buy this much land here for that price. Anyway, through the 19th century, the island became home to several hospitals and a prison, even becoming known as Welfare Island during this time period. One of these hospitals still somewhat stands today, the Smallpox Hospital. The Smallpox Hospital was designed by architect James Renwick Jr. The 100-bed hospital opened in 1856 and closed a century later after becoming obsolete due to the eradication of smallpox. Although the building had already fallen into total disrepair, it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1972 and designated a New York City landmark 4 years later. It is the only ruin in the entire city with that designation. Although people aren't allowed to trespass beyond that fence, there is one group of residents on Roosevelt Island who do get to do so: the cats. And the geese. As a cat lover, you know I had to include the Roosevelt Island cats as a prime reason to visit. They can be seen hanging out all over the island, but particularly within the ruins of the Smallpox Hospital, little creeps. But that might just be because they live so close by. If you walk a little ways north, you'll come to the Wildlife Freedom Foundation's Cat Sanctuary, where you'll find the cats hanging out in this cute little fenced-in area, complete with their very own house that they share with the geese and the squirrels. It's really very cute. The cats and the people on Roosevelt Island live together in harmony, with many residents even regularly putting out food and water for them. Some of the cats are even very friendly, like this little guy who played with me for a little bit, and then I saw him playing with somebody else on my way out. But just a reminder that these are feral cats. They all have different temperaments, so proceed with caution and respect their space. While I wouldn't necessarily peg Roosevelt Island as a foodie's paradise, there is a restaurant behind me called Anything at All. It's inside of the Graduate Hotel, and they have American fare, small bites, burgers, sandwiches, things like that, as well as a drink menu and coffees, and a ton of nice workspace if you're looking to get some work done while you're there. It's also just incredibly aesthetically pleasing, with books lining the walls. It feels kind of like you're in a library. All of the seating is very comfy and plush and just nice. So while I wouldn't necessarily tell you to come out here specifically for this, if you're hungry while you're out here, I would recommend this place. There's also a rooftop bar that is open in the evenings in the same building called the Panorama Room, with, as you can imagine, just being here on Roosevelt Island, it has beautiful views and, you know, expensive cocktails, Manhattan style. You guys know I love a good park, and if you are on Roosevelt Island, you should absolutely come to the southern tip of the island and visit Franklin D. Roosevelt for Freedoms Park. Plans for this park had been underway since the 1970s, but it did not officially open until 2012. The park features several different memorials to FDR, including the series of plaques on the ground that give a timeline of Roosevelt Island and FDR's history. If you haven't already guessed, Roosevelt Island is named after FDR, and the name was finally settled on after its long history of many name changes in 1973. Also, fun fact about this park, this is where Hillary Clinton announced her run for president in 2015. It also has restrooms, by the way, if you need one, but they're pretty gross. From the southernmost end of the park, you also have this incredible sweeping view behind me of like all of lower Manhattan and part of Brooklyn, and it's just incredible. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. There is a link in the description to the rest of my NYC guide series in case you haven't seen those yet, as well as a link to my 8 best places to see beautiful views of New York City for totally free, which also includes Roosevelt Island. Please give this video a like for me, it really does help me out. Comment down below and let me know what neighborhood you would like to see featured next. Turn on those bell notifications to be notified every single time I post. Subscribe if you haven't already for new videos every single Saturday. Yes, that is it. I'll see you next time.